I mean,
Eddie, don't kill me. I forgot to press record.
all right. It's Kevin Garcia, aka the Puerto Rican
I
Kid.
knew this, and when I was flying over here, I was thinking to myself, the Puerto Rican Kid will be here this week. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate you. Couldn't have missed it. I think I would have heard about it if I wasn't in Puerto Rico. But Eddie, look, so many hot topics in boxing. Let's get right into what's hottest, okay? Vergil boots. You know, there's been a lot of talk. There was negotiations. There wasn't. What are your thoughts on this whole fracas?
To be honest with you, I think it's been built up a little bit more than what it is. So I'll tell you, it's quite simple. After his last fight, he said in the ring, I may move up to 154. I need a little bit of time, blah, blah, blah. We started talking about the landscape. We've made a lot of offers to guys at 147 to unify against Boots. We also spoke to His Excellency about the potential for an Ortiz against the Boots fight. When we received the initial offer, it was at 147 pounds, which surprised me. And I went back to those guys to double check, and then they confirmed no, it was at 154. I then spoke to Boots and said, you need to make a decision. Are we moving to 54 or are we staying to unify at 147? And he sort of said to me, well, how long have I got to make a decision? I said, about 24 hours, 48 hours. And he said, I want to unify at 147. That's what I want to do. So I know that everybody loves that fight, but whilst it's in a different weight class, it's not something we're going to do now. You will see Boots in a massive fight at 147 next. You can take this to the bank. He will not be moving to 154 and fighting somebody else. We had to make a decision then and there about what he wants to do next, and his decision was to stay and unify at 147. That's what will happen next. And yeah, I think it got blown a little bit out of proportion. And I was honest in that when we received the offer, it was at 147. It wasn't what I believe was the case. So when I went back a couple of days later, they confirmed it was at 154. And then Boots had to make a decision quite quickly. Do you want to give up your belt or do you want to move to 54? And he said, I want to unify. So you will see him in a unification next.
What would you, I mean, obviously you're moving in the same direction with him. I don't want to put you against Boots, but what would your advice have been? Did you want to see him stay at 147 or go to 154?
I want to see him unify, if I'm honest. The frustration has been we couldn't make the unification before and he had to fight Tudasian. Ideally, we would have unified then. And I think if we'd done that, I think he would have potentially taken the fight against Ortiz. I love the fight against Ortiz. So does Boots, by the way. I think style-wise, everything, I think it's a great matchup. But when he tells me he wants to stay at 47 to unify, I can't blame him for that. And it's not like he wants to stay at 47 to take an easy fight. He's up for anybody in the division. But I just feel like, you know what he said to me? He said, the reality is, I've never really won a championship at 147. He said, I won the interim title that upgraded me to full champion. He said, so I'm yet to fight a champion at 147, and that's what I really want to do. So when the fighter tells me that, I respect it, and I think, I don't mind the decision. I would have loved him to be part of a Riyadh season card, and we planned for Boots to be on a Riyadh season card with His Excellency, but it would involve him vacating his title and moving up, and he's not going to do that. So once he decides he's not going to do that, the fight's not really there. So I think he's a bit disappointed with the reaction, because if it was a defence of his 147 or if he was a 154 fighter and he turned it down, I think you'd have a lot of grounds to give him criticism. But whilst it's not his weight class, it's a simple decision. And like I said, you're not going to see him move to 54 and fight somebody else. If he moves to 54, the Ortiz fight for me is the perfect fight for Boots.
Yeah, I mean, it sets him up for another name he's been calling for in Crawford, which is why I think people were taken aback, because it seemed like some of the things he said he wanted to do were there for him, but he's made his decision.
He said before, I want to unify. Like he said that.
He has.
That's why we took the Tudasian fight. So part of me, I spent a lot of money on that fight, right? But I didn't really want to spend. But he told me, I really want to unify at 47. That's my dream. So I paid up for the Tudasian fight. So if we would have gone up to fight Ortiz, I wouldn't have had a problem with it. But it's still like, fuck, I wish we would have done that without doing the Tudasian fight, because that cost us a lot of money. We're a team. We're in it together. I back him 1,000,000%, and I promise you he will be in a mega fight in, maybe not Philadelphia, but maybe Philadelphia in March or April time.
Now, 147, when you say a massive fight, the only name that comes to my mind that would seem like a massive fight, because the other ones are great. They're good fights. They're
To be honest with you,
unification.
all unifications are big fights.
Okay.
There are a couple of conversations outside the unifications, which are huge fights, and I'm not going to go into them, but Boots is still priorities fight the champions. So, of course, there's the Marios Barrios potential. There's the Brian Norman potential. There's the Stanionis potential. Any of those guys, I'm happy with. Do you know what I mean? But there are a couple of other conversations, which I'm not going to go into, but I need to bounce back with something big for Boots. Because if we're going to turn down Ortiz and make this decision, we better deliver something that the fans go, fair. And I promise you, when we make our decision, you guys will turn around and go, all right, we wanted to see the Ortiz fight, but we get it, and this is a great fight.
If it's not a unification, 147, Blair Cobbs, he crashed the party.
No.
That's a name, Philadelphia.
Kevin, stop it. Kevin, stop it. I love Blair. Yeah, you've been on the what's the local drink round here?
Over here?
Yeah.
On the Bacardi, on the rum?
Is it? Yeah, you've been on a run. No, I love Blair. I'll be open to making another fight for Blair. I think he's a character.
He said Karen Chukazian.
Yeah. Why